youths. You can find that story on that set paper on page 2. We move over to page 16 to 17 on Cameroon Tribune input of parliamentarians when it comes to the fight against malaria disease in the country. Away from that, make a stopover with Le Messager. Le Messager for today talks of Beyak, Abad Mahamat, victim or not. You can find more on that said paper for today. Price increase in fuel pump prices. The paper talks of transporters on the footing of war. You can find that story on Le Messager for this morning. And that's Le Messager. The paper reports on this one of Charles Ateba Eyeni. Say, remember Charles Ateba Eyeni, as they make reference to his outing on some issues that Cameroon is going through. We move away from that to La Voix du Jeune. La Voix du Jeune for today talks of freedom of expression. The arrest of Bruno Bijang, that is quite divisive. Get to read that story on La Voix du Jeune, as the journalist with Vision Cat Television, Bruno Bijang, is at the Gendarmerie State Service Secretariat known as said. Emergence for today talks of the automatic toll gate. Why will the state exploit such partnership with partners from other countries? You can find that story on a quotidian Emergence. Calm water budget we have witnessed a reduction. You can find that story on that set paper. Twi, the paper reports on the Twi locality. Gendarmerie officers dismantle a gang of armed robbers. You can find more on page 2 on Emergence for today. Cameroon's news for this morning talks of the incarceration of Bruno Bijang. The paper says the indignation of practicing journalists in Cameroon. You can find more on the various contribution from practicing journalists following the arrest of Bruno Bijang of Vision Cat Television. Insecurity in Yaoundé. The paper reports of 15-year-old found dead in a dustbin in the Simbok neighborhood of Yaoundé. We move away from that publication. We make a stop over with Le Populaire. The satiric newspaper reports on the death that is living, or the living death of Bonaberry, making reference to the 17-year-old boy whose corpse was deposited at the Sebek Hospital mortuary and later on was found in the morning over there, sitting in front of the mortuary. Get to read more on that satiric newspaper of Le Populaire. From Le Popoli, we take you to Mbangem with The Ultimate. The Ultimate newspaper for today talks of Tombe Municipality. Mayor Land Committee at war over ceded CDC land. And we move over to this one. Peace in Presbyterian Church Bangam takes gospel to hospital Gendarmerie Brigade. And new Bangam DO instructed to bring lasting solutions to land disputes. And we move over to this other story that talks of CAP and partners mobilizes to revive food sovereignty security in Cameroon. Taking you to Lujapol of Karotamba, reports on Brandon Wangwep, who says he is the winner of the Forbes Prize of Startupper of the Year. Fight against illicit drugs and hard drugs in the country. The paper talks of the gendarmerie officers who have seized some 550 kilograms of tramadol and other terrible drugs that youths are mostly in using. Moving over to Informa Time for this morning, it talks of the urban project. It says Senator Cortez inscribed assiduousness on the set various projects. Get to read more from the Minister of Housing and Urban Development. Info show for this morning talks of the 11th of February March Party. It says Maurice Kamto Party, Cameroon Renaissance Movement, announces her participation. Get to read that story on that set paper. And we take you to this other story that talks of Christian Jabal Bomo, candidate who declares for the presidential elections, comes out to castigate the security forces of Cameroon for the arrest and detention of journalist Bruno Bijang of Vision Cat Television. We take you to the next publication. L'Activateur is asking the question: where is Massenyat, the Speaker of the Cameroon Senate? You can find that story on L'Activité newspaper on page 3. Away from that, we take you to African Cup of Nations. It says Cote d'Ivoire is in the finals, and the polemics returns to the team of the 58th edition of the National Youth Day. Get a bit more on that polemics of the team of the Youth Day on page 4. Vanguard newspaper from Abuja in Nigeria reports on education with tears, hardship, creating more indigent students. Get with that story. AFCON semis, the paper talks of Ogbubo, 4 others died watching Super Eagles versus Bafana Bafana of South Africa match. And in that said paper, protest, federal government must photo imports if hunger persists. Edo Goba 16 parties notify INEC on primary elections. And we move over to NLC and TUC issues 14 days nationwide strike nationwide to federal government. We come back to Cameroon with the publication of municipal updates of Victor Bamacham for this day. It says Northwest Southwest religious leaders updates PMT on Guti on fresh peace moves. And after attack, Northwest Work Boss makes us case for hitch-free road construction. And we take you to the story that says government to terminate employment of absentee civil servants in the country. We move over to Le Témoin. Le Témoin for today talks of the fight of the movement of OTS. It says intensification. The paper reports of the intensification talk. And we move over to the northwest and southwest regions with the security impasse. The paper talks of Mission Impossible. You can find more on the paper of Le Témoin for today. From Le Témoin newspaper, let's make a stop over with Reality Plus. Reality Plus of Paul says Yaoundé. The foundation of Francois Pune comes out with donation of laptops to some youths in Cameroon. And the Vineyard Division of the Vineyard Division reports on the installation of the senior divisional officer Valerie Noben Kwale, who takes command in that locality. Away from that, we move over to the Punch. The Punch says 14 days strike notice. Federal government labor differs on aborted peace deal, according to the paper from Lagos in Nigeria. We move over to APC. Stalwart Ogumbo and 3 others die watching Super Eagles versus Bafana Bafana of South Africa semi-finals. Motorists seek extension of Lagos Ibadan Express Route street lights, and federal government multi-choice agree on 37 million US dollars tax settlement. Or you can find that story on page 21 on that publication of the Punch. We take you back to the country, Cameroon, with the next publication. That is the Guardian Post. It talks of what Bia should tell youth tomorrow. And Douala gas cylinder explosion injures 18 students. And we move over to the tender from the Cameroon Development Corporation, CDC. Lessons for today talks of surveillance when it comes to the resistance of the resistance. It talks of the protocol projects and group of the second cohort of the formation of the formation center of CATEV and the new intermediaries that were put in place. Douala, a gas cylinder explosion injures some 18 students in the town of Douala. We move over to the last paper on our disposal for this morning. That is, Echo du Parlement talks of the massive voters registration of the Cameroonians in the Kunki division of the West region that is being championed by Honorable Albert Gouachi. Get to read that story on this engagement from the Member of Parliament from the Kunki division of the Center region. We cannot take a bow out of the studio without visiting the hot paper Quotidien Eco Santé that talks of 18 students who were burned by a gas cylinder explosion are currently receiving medical attention at the Douala General Hospital. Financing of the health sector. The paper reports on the engagement from parliamentarians who says the organization known as CRED and ORIAC needs to double more effort. Human Rights, the paper report on CDH calls on the importance of that. You get to read that story on that said publication for today. We visit our international tabloids. We start with the Daily Telegraph that says Biden can't remember when he was vice president. You can find more on that paper on the U.S. President Joseph Biden. Church accused of operating convoy bout of asylum seekers baptism. We move over to the Sun. The Sun says after VAR fair, a Bama blow, Saint Bean Cats blow what? You get to read more on that paper of the Sun. Daily Mirror for this day says Kate State shock report, nation in deck. Nation in decay. Lack of NHS dentists blamed on 98,000 back mirror campaign, according to that paper of Daily Mirror. With Daily Mirror, this is what put a stop on the first part of the program, but we'll be back with our reviewer for the second segment of the program. Do not move a muscle. Once again, you are heartily welcome on board the program Press Brief. If you are just joining us, you are on to the second part of the program. And the second part is reserved for our reviewer. Our reviewer for this morning is Musa Nahibu, who is an academician from the University of Buea. Good morning to you, Musa, and you are welcome back to the program.
Good morning, Mr. Larry. Thank you for having me. Good morning, reviewer. I think it has been long that we have not been together. I'm very happy again to be one of the people who will be reviewing the press for us this morning. So thank you for having me.
All right. In that said, let me just wish you a happy Youth Day celebrations.
Thank you, and same to you.
All right. We start off with Le Populi, the satiric newspaper for this morning report on the living death. The paper says living death in Bonaberry, making reference to the 17-year-old boy who died, and his remains were deposited at the Sebek Hospital mortuary of Bonaberry, Douala, as he was found some morning ago sitting in front of the mortuary.
Yes, Mr. Lara, I think it's a very serious news and frightening somehow. How can someone dies and the next day you see him seated? If you are the one, you must run. So the question is, was he really dead? Because we have been getting in past events that someone has died and has come back. You hear people narrating story that we saw this man somewhere. It's like ghosts and so on. So this is more like a mysterious something. And for science, I think it's somehow impossible for someone to die and come back. Even some of the religions that we have on the main religions that we have today, it's impossible to believe that someone dies and he came back. Now the question is, was he really dead? And that's a question that they need to ask maybe the medical personnel who maybe tested and confirmed that he was dead before putting him in mortuary. Now for science, I think it's very simple. When your organs stop functioning, especially the heart, and you are not breathing, they say you are dead.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might be in the state of shock or coma, and if they are in the haze, they don't have the required equipment to test you, they might confirm that you are dead. Meanwhile, you are in the state of coma for some time. So it's a very mysterious story, and I think they need to investigate more, because I for one, I believe that someone cannot die and come back, and for science, I think they need a serious equipment to testify. You cannot just use a stethoscope and find out that the heart is not beating. And you go and test the respiratory system, you realize that it's not breathing, and he's just lying down like that. You know, he might go in the state of coma or shock for some time before coming back. So I think the story needs to be confirmed. And we have really seen that there was a time that even we saw as a miracle someone in South Africa who they came with a coffin, put him inside, and He was confirmed dead by nurse. I don't know the game that they played, but finally we realized that even the pastor apologized at the end when they were realized that he did not die.
Okay.
It was like a way of making people believe that you can raise dead to life.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think those things they do exist, and they are just mysterious things, and hopefully I believe strongly that dead man cannot come back to life.
All right, Musa, let's focus on this little boy of 17 years old. And we saw the case of a man last year who died and was buried in Yaoundé, but let's say 6 or 7 months later that man came back and everybody was in shock. The wife was like, the wife was still in mourning, and she was saw with her sackcloth on that the husband is dead. That this is even the banner. We saw the banner there in the neighborhood in Yaoundé, and the man said, "Yeah, I'm mine." Somebody who was confirmed dead and buried. So, does this bring to the point that there is metaphysics when it comes to the living, or when it comes to the dead in Cameroonian context?
You know, Mr. Larry, as I mentioned, there are two aspects here. We want to talk about religion. Islamically, I can defend what I'm saying.
Okay.
And if we want to talk about science, we can still defend that. Now the question is, was the man who testified that the man was dead and he was buried?
He was buried.
No, the question is, seeing your picture, maybe somewhere, we have seen severally that someone, they might proclaim that this man is dead, on which he traveled even somewhere, and after how many years, maybe 40 years, he's coming back to the house. And as I mentioned to you, there are a lot of mysterious things happening. And we have to investigate the people who confirm that this man is dead. Which criteria did you use? And who did that? Is it a medical personnel? Which instrument did he use to do that? Islamically, it is totally not possible for someone to die completely and come back to life.
All right.
Now, Islamically, there are two aspects. If you want me to jump in.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. There are two types of death Islamically. We have the major and minor death. For the minor death, Islamically, we believe that if you are in sleep, we consider that as minor death. Because when you get up in the morning, you praise God that take your soul and give you back the soul. So, right? Now, the major death itself, Islamically, the way Islam explains the death, science has not even advanced to that stage to tell us more. As I mentioned to you, science is when your organs, when your system completely are not functioning, we call it that you are dead. But Islamically, a death is when your soul, something is removed from you. So, I for one, and I believe many scientists will cohort with me, that someone cannot die and come back, especially when he is confirmed by instruments that are working by a trained medical personnel, and you come back to life. I think it's impossible. There is a problem somewhere. Whether the man, they realized that the man was in coma, when he realized himself, he escaped and went somewhere, they took his, there is something, when they dig it, they will find that this man was not really dead.
Okay, Musa, let's move away from that living death situation of Le Popoli. We crossed over to Mutation for today. Mutation talks of the access to the bar of Cameroon, as the bar exam was launched by the Minister of Justice and Keeper of the Seal, Laurent Esso. The paper reports on the obstacles that are on the way for those law students who wants to get into the bar council or the bar in the country, according to Mutation.
Mr. Larry, you know there is a problem. Sometimes I wonder, when you do law, you are always frustrated. Why are you frustrated? You cannot be a barrister if you have not gone out to study, either in Nigeria, Rwanda, or any other African country. What is happening with Cameroon? Cameroon, with even a two-law system or two system of judgment, we are not proud to really establish a school that trains lawyers, barristers. And many times I'm sure this has been more than 7 years since they launched this I think, and the lawyers have been fighting since I think 2013 or 2014, something like that. And sometimes it's really sad to see what these people go through before they are confirmed barristers. They spend their money study here. The institution to further is not here. They spend another money, go and study outside, and come back again. It's a problem to sue them as barristers. I think it's a problem, and that's the more reason why the government needs to revamp this system. We are talking about people who defend the right of the civilians, the innocent people, and they undergo through a lot before they are approved as barristers. So it becomes very difficult. And that is a big problem with our higher education system. As you can see, even PhD, they have not launched it this year. A country like Cameroon that we are hoping to emerge by 2035, and research is one of the key aspects. But when you realize countries like in Europe, America, Canada, their main budget always go through research, because they know that with research they can discover a lot of things. And that's why you realize that we are really behind, especially Cameroon and even Africa. That's why you see that even the production of COVID vaccine, none was produced in Africa, unless some that were assembled in South Africa, I believe. So it shows you where we are in research, and PhD is all about research and higher education, like the law, this thing that we are talking about. So I think there is a need for reformation of the higher education system that will resemble the Cameroon that will emerge in 2035.
But the government will tell you there's a lot of PhD holders, there's a lot of doctorate holders in the country who keeps on banking on the government's door that they want to be absorbed by the set government. But with such inadequacies like financing in the country, so they will say we decided to put it on a hold. Don't forget, the President Paul Biya just signed a decree some days ago stipulating that 150 places are available for PhD holders and doctorate degree holders. In 3 state universities. That's Garwa, Ebolowa, and Betwa.
Yes. Do you know what, Mr. Laren? I don't blame the lecturers. Do you know why? The PhD holders. Because the problem here is not the people who are trained. The problem is the system that trains them. For example, if I train you, that your main focus will be to seek job from the government, and that is how you grow up with the mentality. Even after having a PhD. Now we are talking about reforming the higher institution in the sense that they should be job creators than job seekers. Look at someone like Brigade. He was 19 years when he founded his media in Facebook. And by then he was a student in Harvard. Yes. So they have found out that more than 70% of the students in Harvard, many times, they always discover their field before even they graduate. So that is the kind of education that we are talking about, an education that reforms the mindset that towards job creation, not job seeking. Job seeking is good because the government cannot be like that without employing people. But the main aspect, we know that the government cannot employ everybody. Now, what should prevent that? The way they are trained, it will help them. They should train Cameroonians based on the profession, and they should be targeted towards making their own success than depending on someone.
All right, Musa, we move away from that paper. We cross over to Cameroon Tribune. Cameroon Tribune for this morning says youth and social media, the price of advertisement, according to that sets paper, making reference to the addiction of Cameroonian youth towards social media.
Yes, it's a lot. I think more than 40% of Cameroonians, they have Android phone and they are very addicted to social media. And it's not only in Cameroon. You might be surprised that in South Korea, youth always spend at times continuously 2 days on top of their laptop playing games. So the sickness is not all in Cameroon. You know, when you're advancing, you just need to take precaution and take the positive one. social media, there are a lot of negative aspect there, and equally there are positive aspect that they can do research and do the assignment and so on and so forth. So I think before condemning social media, we have to look at the coin, the two sides of the coin, the positive and negative aspect. But the problem with some of the youth is that they go to the negative aspect, like maybe watching pornography,
sending nude videos,
yes, making hate speech on social media and so on and so forth. So I think they should just be educated how to use the social media. Of course, as the world is advancing, even the head of state said that these are Android generation, and as an Android generation, of course, the social media is the best aspect that they can go into. So they should be educated in all the aspects at home, in school, and so on, both giving them the advantages and disadvantages.
All right.
Parents can equally moderate, and even the teachers during school hours, they can refuse them from bringing phones.
That's the law, but we still find the students taking their phones to school. All right, Musa, we dwell on page 12 on Cameroon Tribune. It talks of the finals of the 34th edition of the African Cup of Nations that will be played in Ivory Coast between Nigeria and host nation.
Yeah, Mr. Lara, I think there are a lot of surprises that we have seen in this very AFCON. And it shows you the dynamism of football now in Africa. We realize that there is not bigger team. All the teams are almost equal. The best teams, they have even gone out early. When we talk about the best team, we know Egypt with 7 trophies, Cameroon 5, we know Ghana, Senegal, and the rest.
Morocco went and played the semi-finals in the World Cup.
And they came back. And surprisingly, Mr. Lare, sometimes it's not good to judge someone very early. Morocco that qualified Côte d'Ivoire. Remember that the game between Morocco and Zambia
was a turning point.
Yes, Côte d'Ivoire was waiting that Morocco should win. No matter the goals, they are qualifying. Because all of them, they had 3 points.
3 points.
Now, Côte d'Ivoire will advance with goals. And look at Côte d'Ivoire was the 4th on the best team, and they were taking 4. And look at the way they have advanced. And secondly, Mr. Larry, when you look at the match of Côte d'Ivoire, when they sacked their coach, it was a test for this man that came.
A young guy.
A young guy of 39 years.
No, 37. He's
37 years.
He's 37.
And he was a player in Côte d'Ivoire, a midfielder. And look at the way he has changed. It shows you that coaches, they have a lot to do for the qualification of the team. And when you look at Côte d'Ivoire, they have played with Senegal, and they have eliminated Senegal. Big teams, and now they are heading to the final with Nigeria. I think it will be a very serious match. We enjoyed the semi-finals, and we hope that the final two will be
quite entertaining.
Yes, quite entertaining. And for now, I think there are a lot of surprises, and honestly, it might be difficult to tell you who will take the trophy. Remember that even Nigeria considered only 2 goals from straight, apart from penalties. So it shows you that they have a solid defense line, and they have equally a very good goalkeeper. And the attacking line too is very good. You see them, their mobility is very good.
They don't play selfish football.
Of course, you see someone like SMA, he's very good in attack. He runs continuously without getting tired. He goes in front, come back, and so on and so forth. So I think there are a lot of surprises, and I must tell you that this is the best outcome when it comes to football entertainment. Perhaps maybe the organization.
Even the stadia too. We saw all of the 6 stadia, all of them have roof, unlike some other African countries.
Yes, of
where
course.
It's just a 1 or 2.
The population that always turn out.
It's quite impressive. As compared to that of Cameroon.
Yes. So it's really a good thing to see, wait and see. These are people that many Cameroonians, they have
They don't like.
agencies,
They don't like
social media.
But that's just they're just being envious, honestly.
Yeah.
When somebody is above you, just acknowledge that. No, you pass me. Carry on. That's how life should be. Musa, we'll come back to the Southwest region with the ultimate newspaper of Olive Ijang. The paper for today talks of Tombe Municipality Mayor Land Committee at war over ceded land of CDC. CDC actually ceded some lands to Tombel, to the locals. Now, the land committee personalities and the mayor, Rose Ngasa, are at loggerhead. What is the issue of land palaver in the Southwest region?
Mr. Larry, there's a lot about this land, and there was a survey made, and this was I think broadcast in Cameroon Collins some months behind, that 80% of cases in the court are due to land. So it shows you the importance of land in Cameroon now, especially when you are in an urban area. And you know, CDC has a lot of challenges. Nobody would doubt that. Because of the crisis we have seen, how it has impacted CDC. It has affected CDC to a great extent. Many a times CDC, they have a very vast land that they might give it subsidies. I know land like that, especially in Southwest, what I've noticed is that you can buy land and you can sell land for 8 people. Giving them all documents, having documents, and you escape and allow them to fight with you.
To fight each other.
So these are the reality that we have seen everywhere in Buya, Kumba, everywhere people are fighting.
The worst is in Douala.
Yes, even Douala, Yaoundé, the major cities, they have this problem. So I think there was a time that even the Minister Atanganji intervened for FAPO in particular and limited that. And even University of Buya had that problem. You can remember. So it's a major problem, and I think they should put a system that may be harmonized. I don't know whether they can make something like a system, like subcopy system that is harmonized maybe at the center level, wherein when you sell it to more than one person,
it
identify it as a fault. Something like that. They should work on that. Like the Minister of Land Survey and so on, they should do a lot, because this thing is very frustrating. After your years of saving, you come and buy land. At the end, you start going to court because of that land.
Can imagine.
It's a very serious issue.
All right. So we pray the the Tombe land saga that CDC said too should be addressed adequately. We move over to Mbangam. This time around, Presbyterian Church Mbangam takes the gospel to hospitals and gendarmerie correctional facilities as they actually went to support those that are in these facilities in the hospital and the gendarmerie brigades, to let them know that they are not alone as they went there with a lot of humanitarian kits and the gospel of Christ.
Yes, Mr. Lara, I think that's a very good move from the church, and we want to salute their effort. You know, as we mentioned, the government cannot do everything. We're supporting with maybe subsidizing the healthcare and so on and so forth. As things are getting difficult, if you have assistance and someone comes with the Bible and comfort you, at least you will enter the heart. And it's something very good. And we encourage the religious bodies, they should always do that community outreach. We have seen that in Buya, and we have participated that, especially with the Muslim community. We have seen some churches equally doing that, going to the prison, going to the hospitals and so on. So I think it's a very big move. I want to salute the effort of the pastor who thought that it is nice to use that money wisely. Otherwise, he can still use that money and buy his private jet. We have seen many pastors nowadays moving with private jet and so on. Though in
Convoy.
Years prohibited to have that, but in other countries they have it without any problem. So they say it's good that man of God too should be comfortable so that he can preach the gospel. That's how they will tell you. But I think sharing is equally good. Right? It's good to share when you have.
Definitely. Let's move Over to Cameroon's news. Cameroon's news for today talks of the incarceration of journalist Bruno Bijang of Vision Cats Television, who was arrested and taken to the State Defense Secretariat, known in French as SET, in Yaoundé. This time around, colleagues, says journalists are castigating the incarceration of Bruno Bijang. This a journalist who went on social media platform to decry on the hardship that the government is putting on the poor common man in Cameroon, following the 15% increase of fuel pump prices in the country. So later on, we found that Bruno Bijang was arrested on that live video that he made on social media.
Yeah, Mr. Larry, there are many aspects to this. Number one is that there is no doubt that there was a survey done by, I think, human rights, international human rights, and they say Cameroon is one of the worst countries in treating journalists. Now, the question that we want to ask, the difference between a journalist and maybe a social media activist, or how do I put it, a civil society activist in social media, promoting an agenda. Now we have heard equally that the government has said there's a limit to freedom of speech. Now the question is, what is free and what is not free is yet to be known by many journalists. And when we are talking about freedom of speech, we should know what is free for us and what is not free for us. So I think they should investigate. Of course, when you are doing your job and you are sending a message without maybe accusing fingers on particular people, your intention is to see the country better, and to send your message so that change will come, then I don't see it as a problem, because we have seen that there are some reformation that have been made through social media. And we should know that there is a difference between just writing like that and maybe doing how do I put
live
it?
videos. Activism.
Yes. So
but
activism for a particular issue, so that they can change. That one to require that it should be in conformity with the law.
Okay.
You have to check the law before engaging. So there are a lot of things that are happening, and we have to be very careful and try to find out before start laying blames on who, the journalists or the state. So there are a lot of investigations that need to be done, and we need to distinguish between a journalist and someone who just writes in social media, freelance journalist, something like that.
Anyways, and so we hope and we pray that Bruno Bijang should be released from SET in no distant time. We remain in the city of Yaoundé, this time around the locality of Simbok neighborhood of the Yaoundé 5 Council area. It talks of a 15-year-old student who was killed, and his corpse was deposited at a dustbin in Simbok. What a sad one.
In Salarin, there's a problem in especially our education system. Sometimes you see students fighting with their teachers, students fighting with their mate, and you see people going to school with knives, smoking drugs, taking Indian hemp, and so on and so forth. So the question now is, as much as you want to build students that are responsible and leaders for tomorrow, there are three aspects here. Number one is that the parents need to contribute in one way or the other.
Definitely.
Number two, teachers. And number three, the government. And recently we have seen a lot of laxity with the laws that the government is putting in place. Number one is that they have removed corporal punishment totally in the institution. The question is, after removing that, have they put a substitute for corporal punishment? That's a question that we need to ask.
Okay.
Is there a punishment apart from the corporal punishment that they are prescribed for teachers to correct those students? That's a question. Then secondly, equally, as much as we want to copy from perhaps maybe the Western world, the Western world, they have their own advanced system that us, the African man, we have our own tradition and we have the way that we are doing our things.
We believe in the king.
Yes, and we cannot deny that. That's why when you look at it, the children out there, they have right. I don't know whether we just put the right in quote. They have more right than us here. They can do and undo. A child, you can just slap a child with a small slap, and the child goes and sue you and they lock you up, like a parent of that child. So the question is, what morals are we practicing? We are seeing schools are getting worse in terms of moral.
Yeah.
But we are encouraging the way the students will behave like that, without prescribing a proper punishment for that. Today, I think what is happening, we see students have more right than teachers. You can do your investigation and you find out.
I think there is a school disciplinary council where recalcitrant students are being...
Mr. Larry, the question is, what is the disciplinary sanction that is put on place by the government?
I think
you said there is no cane, so what should we do for the students?
That's why I come back.
Should they go and play? What should they? First of all, you are encouraging agriculture. But you use agriculture like punishment for those students. So there's a lot that needs to be reformed. No matter how we want that the students should not be beaten, yes, is that right? But the question is, how do you correct them? And this is why you see such things are happening without any regulation. You see students coming beating their teachers. You smoke, if you joke, they slap you.
Some are even being killed in classroom.
That is it. And they are doing their job. And I think there is no profession better than a teacher.
Okay. Musa, let's move away from that. I know you are an academician from the University of Buea. We talk on municipal updates for this morning. It says Northwest Southwest religious leaders update PM John Guti on fresh peace moves.
Yes, Alara, we have seen their efforts since this crisis started. They were the one leading the All Anglophone Conference with all the religious body being headed by someone, and we have seen that they have contributed a lot to see how it will be better. You know, Mr. Larry, when you look at even some countries, I don't know, like this Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, and that is where we have seen that religious bodies, they have really intervened in an issue, especially the Catholic Church.
Sure.
They have a lot of power, and we have seen even the Pope has gone out, has condemned some inhuman treatment and some wars. I think religious bodies or leaders, they still have some good faith with them, and the followers believe in them, and they know that when they head something, is going to be a successful one. So I think what the government can do is that now that we are yelling for peace, anything that we see which looks like peace, we should taste it and see. So I think it's something that the government should encourage and try to work it out. I think 7 years is more, and people are tired. And we have seen recent happening showing you that things are still there, despite the fact that the government is saying that things are under control in the Northwest, Southwest, and far north. We have seen that is really there, and there are a lot of attacks recently, especially as Ukraine is coming up. So I think they should work hard with these religious bodies and see how they can even call for a second dialogue.
Okay. All right, we move over to the Ministers of Secondary Education and Public Service and Administrative Reform, respectively. Government to terminate employment letters of some absentee civil servants in the country.
It's I think it's a very good move. We want to salute the minister who is behind that. We are in a system that things are very difficult. Today, to have a job in Cameroon is like having a go. So things are getting very difficult. And when you see people mismanaging what people are trying to have, they give them those jobs. Some of them, they go out of the country and look for greener pasture while collecting their salaries here, and people are seated there unemployed. I see many of the time the problem even comes from the regulation. They should put, I insist, there are some things that they can put in place to track, to regulate, because this one, there are just few. There are many of them out there. They have not yet discovered them.
Yeah.
I remember when the former Minister of Finance,
Ababa Polycarp.
no, this recent man that they just sent to economy.
Okay, Alamin Usman.
Alamin Osman,
Yeah.
during his reign, the number of ghost workers that he dismissed, I think, was encouraging. I don't know what happened that minute. That's the best minister to trap those people.
Alamin
And
Usman.
we really salute them for this very big move. And we hopefully, as they are leaving, space should be open for people who want jobs to apply. And we should equally mitigate, because most of these things, they always come due to corruption.
Yeah.
I give you maybe 20% of my salary.
Every
Don't
month.
expose me. Let me go. There are some people who are studying outside without permission, without work leave from the government. The government does not know. Who knows is only their boss who is receiving something. So it's really sad, honestly. And this is a very good move, and I want to salute the people who are in charge.
All right, we take you to the Ministry of Economy, Planning and Regional Development, where the minister delegate in that ministry, Paul Tasson, was at the campus of the National School of Local Administration, NASLA, where he schools the students on the National Development Program, known in French as SND30, of the government and decentralization in the country.
Yes, a lot as things are getting hot, and the head of state is preaching that they should fast track the decentralization process. I think the governor is paying more attention to that school. And sometimes when I see Mr. Larry, I have a problem. There was a time that I asked someone that, is this your training direct recruitment? They said no. And their training system, I have a problem with that training system.
Okay.
You know, at times when you train someone militarily to hold a gun or to do military acts, and that person after school comes and sit like that and look at you without any employment, do you think that is a good thing for the country?
Of course not.
So we have seen their training NASLA with military training sometimes. We have seen that some they went to Mutengene school.
Yeah, police college.
Yes, college. And they have been trained like that. And this is not direct recruitment. Many of them, there are many, of course. The government cannot absorb all of them. No matter how they love the decentralization system to move fast. And those that are seated outside without jobs and no military tactics, I don't think that is a very good thing for the country. No matter how much we love the school.
But with the rising of insecurity, isn't that a way for them to get armed themselves, should in case hoodlums try to attack them?
Mr. Larry,
or attacking the community?
People that are there. We have all kind of people that are there. People who have good faith for the country, and perhaps people who...
Definitely.
Yes, so such thing I think we should limit. For Enam, we are sure that after Enam, they are sending them out to the field.
Posted.
So that one is a different thing.
Yeah.
But this one now, they have to be very serious. So we encourage that they should look into their training and see. We are yelling to see that the decentralization maybe should solve the problem, as the government is putting more eye on the decentralization. So they should put a very good training for the school, and so that they will help us to track the decentralization very fast.
Okay, Musa, let's take you to page 9 with the municipal update. It says sex workers cheat death as truck fails brakes and plunges itself in a bakery in Kumba.
Yeah, Mr. Larry,
that one is funny. That story is funny.
It's really funny because my dad,
yeah.
And the question is,
but prostitution in the country is illegal. But
it's illegal. That's the question. That's what I wanted to ask you. You know, at times when we say sex workers, it's as though it's something legal. And we have seen many a times the government is doing effort. They have sent gendarme, police behind these people and have arrested them. But you know that for developed countries, this thing, they have their right. It's their job, and they can protest against what is not okay.
Definitely.
They can even increase their prices through the government. So that here in Cameroon is something different.
Musa,
and
please.
honestly, it's really sad to see it everywhere.
Yeah.
You go to Buya, Kumba, Douala is the worst. There are some quarters that when you go there in the night, they
Yeah.
rape you.
You can imagine all
Yeah,
over.
so
It's all
they are just
over.
fortunate that they just cheated the dead.
So should we say they should actually repent from being prostitutes or sex workers?
Yes, I think
Because
it's a message for them.
when you have seen a truck, almost taking away your life, you just have to say, "Papa God, I surrender."
That's it, and we know that is a sin. So what is needed for them is just a test from God, and He just demonstrated to them that repent before you go and meet me.
Okay, we cross over to L'Activateur for today. L'Activateur is interested in the presence of the Speaker of the Senate, Masenyat Difenji. The paper asks the question, where is Masenyat Difenji? That's a big question according to L'Activateur newspaper. We haven't seen this gentleman for quite a while because he wasn't there for when President Paul Biya was receiving New Year wishes, and he didn't receive New Year wishes from members of the Senate and close collaborators of his.
Yes, I think Mr. Larry is a question that all of us we need to ask and sit and wait for answers. You know, when you are working for a country and you have been elected and you are working for the country, when you are not available, it has to be known by Cameroonians because you are voted there for a purpose.
I mean, a public figure.
To say you are answerable to Cameroonians. And when you see these kind of high-profile occasions that are happening, and someone like him, who is second in command in the country after the head of state, he has not been seen for 2 serious occasions. Then there is a question: where is he? Is he feeling okay? Is he in the country? Is he out of the country? I think the organ, the Senate, they should make a communique and make Cameroonians know, because we cannot vote you and give you the audacity to mount the affair of the nation, head that kind of organ. You have voted there.
Sure.
And for months, we have not heard from you. We don't know where you are. We have seen a lot of occasions that you are supposed to participate and you are not there. So I think there is a lot to ask, and that's why we really call for the sincerity of people who are holding power.
Okay.
Cameroon is our country. We are not going anywhere.
Sure.
We must build it together.
Definitely.
And we must be answerable. You know, a leader is someone who is answerable to the people who voted him. Because if the people are not there, you will not be there.
Sure.
So we have to know maybe why he has not been there in those occasions. Where is he well? Cameroonians needs to know. And perhaps we can include him in our prayers if he is not well.
Okay. Definitely. We take you to the Guardian Post now. The Guardian Post talks of what Biya should tell youth tomorrow, as the Youth Day celebration is scheduled for Sunday the 11th of February 2024.
Yeah, Mr. Larry, I think it's a traditional message for the youth, particularly for the youth. And first of all, before we comment what he wants to say, for this, we can say that the head of state, he loves the youth. If he can address the youth yearly, particularly for the youth, is something very good, and we appreciate him for that. Now, in our own part for the youth, you know, our challenges, I don't know whether we have but we have so many challenges.
Unemployment.
For example, yes, that's the main thing. You know what youth wants is to promise a job. Mr. Lara, I must tell you that in 2011, or was it in 2012, where the head of state came and announced 25,000 jobs. Mr. Lara, the impact that has is beyond. Up till now, we cannot even match that impact. Because all my friends, anytime that I ask someone, I ask some of my friends that I used to ask them, when were you recruited? He will tell me that 25,000. But ministers will come and tell us that they have recruited 400,000, 500,000 yearly. Mr. Larry, where, in which ministry? We have to know.
Okay.
And where is the impact? The head of state announced only 25,000. And we saw the impact in almost all the ministry. So those are the kind of things that we want. And he should promise us equally. As I mentioned, Mr. Larry, we have a problem here. The education system. The head of state
needs to be changed.
Discuss with the minister and see how they can revamp our education system. As we are advancing, we have to be changing. we have to move with the changing world.
Sure.
So there are a lot of things that we expect from the head of state. But he best know what he will tell us.
Okay.
We are going to listen keenly to him, and I encourage all the youth, they should listen and take it with keen attention. Maybe something positive might come out from it.
All right, we hope so. Okay, Musa, let's wrap up the program with this last one from Douala. Gas cylinder explosion injures 18 students in Douala.
Yeah, Mr. Larry, I think this one was during the cooking practice. That is the hotel management students.
Okay.
And I think first of all, when such thing or students who are engaged in such activity, first of all, they need to be educated. And secondly, the equipment needs to be inspected.
Yeah.
You know, gas cylinder can explode maybe because of the pipe, expired pipe, or maybe there's a problem with the cylinder itself.
Yeah.
So I think such thing, there should be always precaution, and if such thing happens, they should immediately notify. While making the effort to quench, they should notify the firefighting brigade. So I think it's a very sad news there from Douala, from that school, and we wish them quick recovery.
Okay. Musa, it was a pleasure having you on set.
Thank you, Mr. Larry. The pleasure is mine, and we hope that we'll meet again. And our purpose here is to make sure that we contribute in one way or the other to advance the country ahead. So hopefully we are available again for your subsequent edition, and thank you again for having me.
All right, viewers of High Television and the program Press Brief, welcome to today's package of the program. It was the weekender edition, as the program will be yours Monday 9 a.m. West African time. From me and the entire crew, it's a blessed stay in the company of High Television. Bye bye.